for the continuation of colonization. We are talking about giving you independence for the continuation of colonization.
But what does it cost for independence? A little? A lot? What did Ibrahim Traoré give away that upset Sir P for him to expose him? You know what? Let's jet into this story. Welcome to Jet. So first and foremost, before we get into whether what Sir P said about Traoré backfired, did he make a big mistake, or was Sir P right? Give thanks to Yahweh and to Yahushua. Yes, man. There is an old saying that no man is an island, no man stands alone. You have to kiss ass before you can kick it. Not literally so, but you get the idea. You jump out a frying pot and jump in a fire. Qui bono, who benefits? What Sir P highlighted is the fact that the masses are being bamboozled by the grand development of the recent coup by Burkina Faso's new president, Ibrahim Traoré, who took over the country and is making the country better. And Sir P is saying that a lot of people have been fooled by AI videos, and it is not true, and he is not this revolutionary macho leader as he's portrayed to be, and it is just a shift from one colonial master, quote unquote white daddy, to another colonial master, another white daddy. And so he's just a puppet to the same old system. And Sir P saying that people are fooled to believe in what is being portrayed on the internet. The question is, what Sir P said, has it backfired? Is Sir P right? Is Sir P making a big mistake? Sir P attack on Ibrahim Traoré. What happened next will shock you.
The situation in Burkina Faso is way more complex than that. For a start, the whole heap of Trump speeches and Trump tweets saying he's going to kill Burkina Faso leader or want to kill him or go send man go kill him. This is AI nonsense. The fact that people are falling for this is ridiculous. You can go on Donald Trump's actual page. This is somebody who don't stop talk. Trump talk about any and everything. You don't see nothing Donald Trump actually posts about no one do Burkina Faso nothing, or Ibrahim Traoré nothing. You would have seen things like Burkina Faso is now selling their own gold and taking all the profits, and they've used the money to build this and build that, and in 2 short years you would have seen things like this. Burkina Faso wipe out its debt. It is now debt free, the only debt free country in Africa. How many?
So Sir P may be right. I'm not sure that Burkina Faso has wiped off its debt yet. I'm also not sure that Burkina Faso is developed in the way people portrayed it to be. But it is work in progress. Of course, you wouldn't expect the country to be developed in such a short period of time. And of course, you wouldn't want the country to continue as status quo, as it were, under the French rule. It is important to highlight what is at stake here and how many countries in the world develop their own deals with other countries. And of course, some countries are going to benefit more than some at the time or for a period of time. But as you go along the way, the other countries will develop, and perhaps whoever they sign the deal with, they would probably end that deal and start growing by themselves. Take, for example, the model of America and the deal that they signed with Saudi Arabia. So the Saudi Arabia model guarantees security to Saudi Arabia. There's an intelligence support, and they also get, one of their Western backers. And what the US get? Well, the US get oil from one of the largest oil producer, and also exclusively selling the oil in US dollar. More money for US because other countries have to buy US dollars in order to buy oil, and therefore American money becomes one of the most sought after dollar, and their economy becomes richer. And this is what is developed as many people would call petrodollar, and it started in the 1970s. What did Trump get in the Ukrainian deal recently? 50% of the proceeds, 50% of what is produced by those minerals that Trump can get his hands on. So countries often sign deals and negotiations and so on. Of course, we accept that some countries are fared better than others depending on the geopolitical situation, and also countries have interest in other countries and they're not friends or partners as such. But deals are deals, and sometimes it would benefit one party over the other in the short term. Take that as an emphasis.
3 countries right now: Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. Them just left ECOWAS, that's the Economic Community of West Africa. Them just left it. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. What's the story behind it? Why would these countries just walk away from ECOWAS? Well, these 3 countries have a lot in common, and it's not just their geographic location. These countries have a major internal problem with insurgents, rebels, Islamists, whatever you want to call them. These countries have already lost big portions of land to the said jihadist rebel groups. Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré's country. How many of you know that over 1/3 of the country is controlled by rebels? How many of you know that?
I'm glad you said that, Sir P. The same group, ECOWAS, was planning to strike Niger and Burkina Faso. For who? For their same white daddy who was instructing them. But why did Burkina Faso leave France? What is the facts and the story behind the control of France and Burkina Faso? And what sort of development was it given to the country? Another bad deal, some would argue.
The pact for the continuation, I repeat, the pact for the continuation of colonization. We are talking about giving you independence, but sign this pact for the continuation of colonization in a different format. I'm going to highlight some of those issues that they said you must agree to if you are going to be independent. Hello. Maybe we need to redefine the meaning of independence for the French. First, France said, you see, you monkeys, you don't know how to manage your money. We're going to demand that you deposit 85% of your bank reserves with the French Minister of Finance. Under the French Central Bank, under the control of the French Minister of Finance. France is then going to take your 85% bank deposits from each and every one of you. Deposit those funds in the French stock market under the French name. And you may or may not know the returns. Today, as we speak, the latest figures are saying for every 14 billion that France invests in the stock market from Africa, they are realizing upwards of 300 billion in return. Every year in, year out, because of these deposits from the African countries, France is taking out of Africa over $500 billion. Now figure it out. For every 14 billion, the returns on the investment are over 300 billion, and they are taking over 500 billion. So in actuality, France is taking out of Africa trillions of dollars year in and year out from us poor people, Africans.
So the deal was for France to provide security to keep the insurgency at bay, the jihadists, as it were. Did you hear when Sir P said 1/3 of the country is controlled by jihadists? And this is the reason for the post-colonial agreement that France will keep these jihadists at bay, and France failed miserably. So the people decided that we're not going to take it anymore. France failed economically because they raped from the country and continue to fail in protecting the country from these jihadists. So the people realize, say, France's intelligent control over economic and political decision is too great. Their security failures, the insurgency worsened despite French presence. This is what Sir P talked about earlier on. And national pride. They do not want a French country or a foreign country to rule them. So France failed miserably in protecting the country, and France continues to take money from the country, and guess what France give back in return? France extract a lot of gold from Burkina Faso, the 5th largest gold producer in the world. And French mine these golds, and they give a very low royalties, typically 3 to 5% revenue. Now that is far less than the 15% which you'll hear Sir P talked about coming up further into the video. And there's a lot more to unpack where Sir P is concerned. So France was not doing anything to benefit the country, and they had a political tie over the country, and they decide how the country should run in an indirect way, printing their money, as you've heard, and also controlling their resources, as you've heard. And therefore France go to Niger as well, neighboring country, and extract their gold, and paid around 80 cents euro to €1 per kilo of uranium from Niger. And guess what? When they sell it on the global market, they could fetch 200 to 300 per kilogram of uranium. So France wasn't doing any good favor to Burkina Faso, and therefore choosing another partner may work out much better or favorable in Jet's view.
Back to the pact. So should you want to access some of your money that you have deposited with France, you have to submit your country's financial returns. And if approved, you get to get it as a loan. You can only access up to 20% of your money year in, year out, as a loan at commercial interest rates. Your own money. As if that was not enough. They said all your minerals discovered, yet to be discovered, all your oil discovered, yet to be discovered. France and French companies have the first right of refusal. If there's anything left over that the French companies do not want, your people might have. To this day. They said you will only use the currency that we created for you because you're special Africans. We call it the CFA. There was the Central African CFA and the Western African CFA, same animal. And that France is the only one that can print it for you. 1958. Fast forward. They're still printing it for us. And if you start misbehaving, they just stop printing your money. And your country's in trouble. They also said your language of instruction shall be French, whether you like it or not. That France will have military presence in your country, that your military can only be trained by France, that you can only buy military equipment from France, that you cannot have any military alliance with your neighbor, and that in the event of war, your allegiance is only to France. And furthermore, because they have military presence in your country, they can invade you without notice should they feel that the interests of France in your country are being violated.
Teach, sister, teach. Speak on, sister.
Fast forward, 2019, nothing has changed.
The people who are trying to kill Traoré are his political rivals. He was not elected to be no leader. He took power just like many before him, and people after him want to take power from him.
Okay, Sir P. So the question is, why would they want to kill Ibrahim Traoré? Or the question is, who is behind it? Who is funding them? Which Western white colonial daddy may be funding them? You see, a simplistic view is to say it's political, but a more deeper, profound view is to say that who is behind these political people. Now this man ruptured a colonial master who was looting and exploiting of many resources, and they're going to lose out and their economy is going to fail. Of course, they would want to side now with his enemies in order for them to try and take him out, to restore what he had dismantled. And the question is, who better to use than his political rivals? I wonder who funded these jihadists, these so-called rebels that overthrew Assad in Syria. Who is behind them? Sir P said people are gullible, but do you think these so-called colonial master is going to lose their fat cow without putting up a fight? Think again. Cui bono? Who benefits?
If you give an ex-country 85% of your gold, one of the most precious minerals known to man, you are a dummy. You are a clown. That's what Jamaicans will say about their own leaders. Well, check this. How many of your meme pages told you that Ibrahim Traoré gave the Russians 85% of the profits from Burkina Faso's gold? How many of your meme pages told you that Traoré, the same Traoré that them said take back this from the French and now Burkina Faso and make all this money cause they don't sell out to the Western? That's because they're busy selling out to the East. A puppet is a puppet, a clown is a clown. Ibrahim Traoré has signed away 85% of Burkina Faso's gold profits to the Russians. These are facts. All of you can go do your own research and find this out.
Well, let's put this to the test now, Sir P. I did try and look to see if I can find this information, and unfortunately there was nothing reported officially that was the case. However, I do agree with you that to give a country 85% of the profits of your gold, then that is nonsensical, because no one would want to give away their resources and reap nothing in return just for some protection. If that's the case, that was a dumb move. However, it is still a better deal than what they had with France, because France was giving them 3 to 5% of the proceeds of the same gold. France was dictating their economy, France was printing their money, and France was controlling pretty much everything that goes on in Burkina Faso. Now, if Russia is only taking 85% of the proceeds of Burkina Faso's gold, and Burkina Faso keeps their autonomy and fully sovereign over their affairs, and they can decide how their country is run and print their own money, then that, in my view, is a better deal than what they had before. It is a work in progress. Of course, it could have been a better deal. So, when you compare the two, the better deal is with Russia, assuming that what Sir P is saying is correct.
They didn't build nothing. The Chinese built that. And him turn up and take pictures. It's right there on your screen. Chinese built. Matter of fact, and the Chinese are built all these things that you Traoré built this and Traoré built that. Look on your screen, guy. You're bamboozled. You've been tricked.
There is no doubt that the Chinese are building things in Burkina Faso. infrastructure and so on. But that is flatly contradicted by somebody who is on the ground that Burkina Faso themselves are also building some things, and not everything are being built by the Chinese. Take it from someone has visited the country and see firsthand that Burkina Faso is being developed since they've signed this new deal with the Russians and the Chinese. Coming up shortly, which you don't want to miss, you won't believe how Sir P's fans and supporters reacted to his assessment. Listen to what Wade Mayer had to say.
I had to post to let people know that I am in Burkina Faso, and tell me what you guys want to see.
How about Wade Mayer? Tell me what you've seen.
Which means that whatever we see online is so true. People are saying that, oh, in Burkina, inside Burkina, you guys don't like your president.
No, it's not true. It's not true. That is that you see people sleeping on the street because of the president.
In Burkina Faso, they grow tomatoes in abundance, and the fact that His Excellency Ibrahim Traoré decided to build a factory to transform the raw materials into a finished good is something that really excites my soul in this country.
Kilometers of paved roads.
Are you kidding me? You mean the entire country?
Since the independence
So now,
till now,
only.
only 2,000 kilometers of paved roads.
So what is happening now?
Now, our new president
Yeah?
has the willing to really build the road. They even bought all the equipment, all the necessary equipment to build every corner of our country. As you can see, like this, we have so many corners right now that are in building.
This is insane. So,
Yeah.
so what he's trying to say is that His Excellency Ibrahim Traoré is actually rebuilding his country, because from independence to today, the country can only boast of 3,000 kilometers paved road. But guess what? The equipment that is used to construct the roads in here were actually bought by His Excellency. So which means that the contract is not in the hands of any company.
No, it's the government who is charged to build to construct all the roads.
What is the
This was a little independent YouTuber who goes around and do his little YouTube stuff, not being paid by any media, not being controlled by anyone, but just to see for himself so his fans can actually prove what has been circulated on social media. And I didn't see any Chinese workers on the street working, and the locals are confirming that Ibrahim Traoré bought all the machinery and is building new roads, and France only built 300 kilometers of roads since independence. This is, if it's true, a new development, with 85% of its proceeds being given away to Russia. Can you imagine if the government had 50% share? Ibrahim Traoré is loved by his people, and Sir P is also loved by his fans and his followers. But what you're about to see shortly will shock you. The response from Sir P die-hearted fans was not expected. Have you heard of the story where the mouse wanted to know when the cat is coming? And the mouse, they gathered up and they have a meeting and they said to each other, what we are going to do? It's nice, we don't know the cat are coming now. So we can know to escape, And one of the clever mouse came up with a very brilliant idea by saying, how about we bell the cat? He says, bell the cat? Yes, if you put the bell around his neck, whenever the cat is running, the bell will sound off, and then we'll be able to know and run because we know that the cat is coming. And then another smart one stood up and said, who will do that? Everyone was shaking and start shivering and saying, well, that is the question. Who is brave enough to do that? What is at stake is far more bigger than the 85%, assuming that that is true, of giveaways. What is important is the impact it is having on the wider region. Who is brave enough to kick out their colonial masters? Since Ibrahim Traoré ousted the last government, 4 other countries took action. And this have a wider impact in the region: Guinea, Mali, Niger and Gabon. those countries ousted their leaders, their puppet leaders. So what is at stake is far more important when Africans are saying we are taking back control of our countries. This is what Sir P argued against, that Jamaica should take back control of our judicial system and don't let those in the UK with their Privy Council dictate our legal affairs. What is wrong with Ibrahim Traoré in doing just that? Well, let's hear what Sir P fans have to say about his comment on this video. One said Sir P sound like American and France agent, as if there is no life without America. Sir P, you should stay out of this one, you are so wrong. Another one says yes, he should stick to cartel and black man. Another one said Sir P needs to go look into how the terrorism movement in Northern Africa came about and who is funding them. I touched on this a little bit. Later down the page, someone says, first time I disagree with you that that man is a hero for his people. Another one said, the first time I've seen the masses strongly disagree with Sir P about something. Then the next one says, Sir P, you got it wrong this time. What's happening on the development part is testament of a revolution compared to past leaders. And next one say, me too, he is ignorant as to what that man is doing. To be fair to Sir P did say from the outset that half of the people who listen to him is going to disagree. But to be fair, Sir P, you are wrong on that as well. More like 90% of your fans and followers and your Patreon squad disagreed with you on this one. So you're out in the cold, Sir P. The question is, what is your view? Do you all share the same sentiment as Sir P fans and disagree with his assessment that Ibrahim Traoré is not doing great as so would have perceived? Of course, he's right about the AI videos and so on, but do you see that the impression Sir P is giving about Ibrahim Traoré is that his mission may result in a failure because it is a shift from one colonial puppet master to another, and it will make no difference? Write your comments below, man, and let's have a discussion about this. For those of you who've forgotten to subscribe, please remember to touch the like button, smash the subscribe button, touch up the bell, and remember to share with your friends and family. So yo, go on now. We're gonna jet off,